Foster, I'm here on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Arkansas. A couple of concerns just in general on this. One, we know that in Arkansas people rule, and I would argue that's not just our state motto, but that it's fundamental to our identities as Arkansans often. And the way this is written is going to make it where, for the ballot initiative process, only paid canvassers rule. Because regular volunteer citizens are not going to want to subject themselves to this kind of risk, right? When you're making this, we're obviously meant to make them feel intimidated to go out and carry a petition. If you can't answer every single policy question, if you're not a policy expert, are you going to be able to go out and carry these petitions at all? If all you can answer is this is the word against the very basic thing. But more specifically, I want to speak to SB 212 around the document validity division. We've talked a lot about initiatives and referenda this morning, but I would argue that this also applies to voter registration applications and sets up a two-tiered system. Because right now, a voter registration application can be submitted to the Secretary of State, or it can be submitted to the county clerk. And so if it's submitted to the Secretary of State, it's now under a different level of scrutiny that it can be held to, versus if it's submitted to the county clerk. Right now, those forms when they're submitted, just get shipped off to the county clerk for review. But this would change that process. And I think that the way that this is set up and the way that it is written is it will have a chilling effect on nonprofit organizations who engage in voter registration at this point. Because when I'm registering someone to vote, I don't verify their identity, I don't verify their criminal background, I don't verify their citizenship. That's the responsibility of the county clerk. But if I'm turning in forms that are found out to be invalid, it opens the entire organization up to scrutiny, to investigation, to liability, civil or criminal liability, in a way that has not been the case. And we don't have a method as volunteers or organizations out registering people to vote. We don't have a method to verify all of those things. I can't check someone's background. I can't check that their identity is correct. If somebody registers as Mickey Mouse, I have to turn that form in. But it's not on me to make sure that they're correct, right? But then this will be opening me up to that kind of scrutiny and investigation if I turn in those forms to the Secretary of State's office versus to the county clerk. I also have major concerns about the fact that we would be opening up, putting people in law enforcement positions that are not certified law enforcement officers, that have not gone through the kind of training that our law enforcement officers go through, but we will be appointing them as law enforcement officers. Is very concerning. Also, just one other point to make, well, two more points to make. One, I've heard a lot about duplicate signatures when we talk in here. Secretary of State already disqualifies duplicate signatures. They're not counted twice. And lastly, last point I'll make is when we talk about why out-of-state people would be interested in this issue, why out-of-state people would call Senator Hammer and talk about it, I would also wonder why out-of-state people would donate $14 million to our governor's campaign, but there's a lot of reasons.
Senator Payton, you're right after.